Welcome to EdTech Tuesday. Today we're going to look at a math app. Rich, why don't you tell us a little more about what this app is, who it's for, all the goodies.
All right, this is ToDo Math. And this is a free math app geared for kindergarten through second grade students to help them understand the very basics of math facts, addition and subtraction in particular.
All right, now would it work as an intervention app for older kids?
Absolutely. There's also a great way to teach students number recognition in here as well. So let's dive in and take a look.
Okay, and it's free, so that's always good. Well, not always, but.
In this case, it's great.
All right, let's take a look.
So we have two different options here when we launch. First, we have an opportunity to have timed practice, and I'm going to go ahead and demo that. I get 3 different choices, 6, 8, or 10-minute increments. We can't customize it beyond that, though.
But that seems to be fairly reasonable.
This would be great for a center, for example, independent practice. We can think of a lot of different homework, an entry task. So in this case, we can go ahead and select the particular grade level. It tells me the different types of activities, and we'll take a look at more of them. But cookies, it's simply swapping out different representations for numbers of different cookie icons. For example, falling blocks, little farm, and even tallies, all going along with understanding how numbers and symbols
work together.
So let's launch kindergarten, for example.
I think that's a good grade.
6 minutes to start here. It's going to start me on little farm. And we're not going to go through the whole practice, but I will let you know that this app does have some audio components to it. So either, just as a heads up, either put it on mute or put in your headphones beforehand.
Right, and that's always a good call to have those headphones in the classroom for stations and whatnot.
Absolutely. So in this case, we wanted to see how many pigs went into the barn. I'm going to slide that up there. So happened that 2 went in, and I selected correctly. And there's a lot of different types of practices, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive in to show us a little bit more about each one. So I'm going to click the back button in the upper left-hand corner, and notice free choice is selected here. And we can see that there's number and counting. We can trace numbers, so if we don't quite know how to draw or recognize those yet, we can do that.
I have a question right now. As a teacher, is it tracking my students' information?
Great question, no.
Okay. So
not at this point in time, and there's not multiple. Yeah, and there's not multiple users. So, in other words, if I pick this app up one day, and I hand it off to another student, and that student uses it, it's just going to keep progressing from that same level. Or we can have that second student start over again. So just as a heads up, if you're in a one-to-one situation, maybe one iPad for one student, no problem. But just as a heads up,
you're going to have to reset it as a center if you're not in that situation.
Absolutely. So we're just going to take a quick look at tracing, for example. It starts me out at a very basic level just for kindergartners. And it shows me one ball, and then I actually have an opportunity to use my finger to draw that number.
And you could use a stylus if you wanted to mimic a pencil. That pencil grip holding and practice with that too.
Very much so. So after we're done here, again, we took a look at Little Farm before. We're going to take a look at quick facts. I can say, let's say we'll take a look at second grade just to vary the age level up there. And I can take a look here and I can say, okay, I know that answer is 18. And then I continue to move on. If I put an incorrect answer, and see what happens. I start over and it does not move me on. So that's a quick overview of this app.
What about pros and cons? Let's go over that real quick.
You know, I think the biggest con would just be that we can't track individual student performance.
I see that too, right.
I think one of the biggest pros, though, is it's free. It does a really good job of
nice representations,
colors.
And
it takes advantage of the tactile interactivity potential of an iPad. For example, when we saw how to trace
and I see this being something that you might use occasionally. It's probably not an app that's so comprehensive that you're going to use all the time, but being free, it's something you could start the year off or use throughout the year. I like it.
And I will have to say, it is very focused on exactly what it is intended to do, which is to help with students understanding and learning their basic addition and subtraction facts and all of the prerequisite skills to getting there for students kindergarten through second grade.
Perfect.